A police officer found an abandoned black baby on the streets. 20 years later, the truth was revealed about the black boy's mother. The church had long been abandoned. James squinted through the rain, his heart skipping a beat as the headlights illuminated a bundle, its dark, sodden form unmoving. With a swift, practiced motion, James pulled the patrol car to a stop and swung open the door, the rain immediately soaking through his uniform. His boots splashed through puddles as he approached, the downpour muting the world to a soft, relentless drumming. The bundle was smaller than he'd thought, wrapped in a thin, threadbare blanket that did little to shield it from the elements. As he drew closer, his breath caught. A tiny face peeked out from the folds, dark eyes wide with fear and innocence. The baby couldn't have been more than a few weeks old, its cries lost to the storm. "Hey there, little one," James murmured, crouching down and gently scooping the baby into his arms. The infant's skin was cold, its body shivering against him. "You're safe now. I've got you." The baby responded with a soft whimper, its tiny fingers clutching instinctively at his jacket. James felt a fierce protectiveness surge through him, a determination that was as sudden as it was unshakable. This child had been left alone in a world full of chaos and uncertainty, and he wouldn't abandon it to that fate. Back in the patrol car, James cradled the baby in his lap, carefully wrapping his coat around the small form to ward off the chill. As he drove towards the nearest hospital, his mind raced with questions. Who would leave a baby out here on a night like this? What circumstances could drive someone to such a desperate act? But as the rain continued its relentless percussion against the roof, James pushed the questions aside. The hospital was a flurry of activity when they arrived, the fluorescent lights harsh and bright compared to the night's gloom. Nurses and doctors moved with practiced efficiency, their faces masks of calm and focus. As James explained the situation, the baby was whisked away for examination, its cries fading into the background hum of machinery and voices. Left alone in the waiting area, James felt the weight of his decision settling in. He had never intended to become a father, his life defined by the steady rhythm of duty and service. Yet as the minutes stretched into hours, he realized that the idea of returning to his solitary existence seemed unbearable. The thought of that tiny face, those trusting eyes, had taken root in his heart. When the doctor returned, her expression was one of gentle assurance. "The baby is healthy, just a bit cold and hungry. We'll keep him here for observation, but he'll be fine." A wave of relief washed over James, his resolve hardening into certainty. "I'd like to take him home when he's ready," he said, the words surprising even himself with their finality. The doctor studied him for a moment, her gaze softening. "You're sure? Raising a child is a big responsibility." James nodded, the decision resonating within him like a bell. "I'm sure. He deserves a chance." That night, as James drove home through streets now quieted by the waning storm, the weight of his new responsibility settled over him like a mantle. He glanced in the rearview mirror at the baby seat he'd hastily installed, where the infant lay sleeping peacefully. This unexpected turn in his life felt right, a beacon of hope cutting through the fog of uncertainty. For James Monroe, the rainy night had marked the beginning of a journey that would redefine everything he thought he knew about love, family, and the bonds that hold people together. And as the first light of dawn broke over the city, he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The years flowed like a gentle stream, carrying with them the rhythms of daily life. The city continued to grow and change, but within the walls of James Monroe's modest home, a new world was taking shape, one filled with laughter, learning, and the tender chaos of raising a child. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow over the table where Marcus, now a boisterous 5-year-old, sat with his chin resting in his hands, watching James with rapt attention. James was demonstrating how to flip pancakes, his movements confident and practiced. "Like this, Marcus," James instructed, his voice steady and patient. "A quick flip, and voila!" Marcus giggled, his eyes wide with admiration as the pancake sailed through the air, landing perfectly in the skillet. "I want to try, Dad," he exclaimed, bouncing in his chair. James handed him the spatula with a grin, guiding his small hand through the motion. The pancake flipped clumsily, landing with a splat, and Marcus erupted into peals of laughter. James joined in, feeling the warmth of these simple moments wrap around his heart. These everyday rituals had become the foundation of their lives. Shared breakfasts, bedtime stories, and long walks through the bustling neighborhood. Each moment was a thread woven into the fabric of their bond, a testament to the love that had grown between them. Their neighborhood was a lively tapestry of cultures and traditions, its streets echoing with the sounds of diverse languages and music. Markets brimmed with the vibrant colors of fresh produce and spices, and murals adorned the walls, telling stories of history and hope. It was a place where differences were celebrated, where everyone had a story that added to the community's rich mosaic. James and Marcus were familiar figures in the neighborhood, greeted with smiles and waves as they made their way through the streets. Marcus had a knack for befriending everyone he met, his natural curiosity and charm winning hearts with ease. One of their favorite stops was the corner bakery owned by Mrs. Alvarez, a warm-hearted woman whose pastries were renowned for their deliciousness. Marcus adored her cinnamon rolls, and she always had one ready for him when they visited. "Marcus, mi niño," Mrs. Alvarez called out as they entered the shop, the scent of freshly baked bread enveloping them. "I saved you the best one today." Marcus beamed, his eyes lighting up as she handed him the treat. "Thank you, Mrs. Alvarez." James watched the exchange with a smile, grateful for the community that had embraced them so fully. It was in these interactions, these small gestures of kindness, that he found reassurance in the path he had chosen. As the years passed, Marcus grew from a curious child into a thoughtful and energetic teenager. He excelled in school, his love for learning nurtured by James's unwavering support. Yet beneath his easygoing demeanor, James sensed a restlessness, a yearning for answers that he had yet to provide. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon, Marcus turned to James with a question that had lingered unspoken between them. "Dad, why did you decide to keep me?" Marcus asked, his voice tinged with both curiosity and vulnerability. James paused, the weight of the question settling over him. He had always known this moment would come, yet the depth of it caught him off guard. "When I found you that night," James began slowly, "I knew you were meant to be in my life. I didn't plan on becoming a father, but sometimes the most unexpected things become the most important. You were my second chance." Marcus absorbed his words, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. "Second chance?" James nodded, his gaze steady. "To make a difference, to be a family. You've taught me more than I could ever teach you, Marcus." The honesty of his words hung in the air between them, a bridge spanning the gap of uncertainty. In that moment, James saw a flicker of understanding in Marcus's eyes, a reflection of the journey they had traveled together. As Marcus entered high school, his interests began to take shape, his natural talent for music emerging like a hidden melody waiting to be played. He spent hours in his room, the sounds of his guitar drifting through the house, a testament to his passion and creativity. James encouraged this pursuit, attending every school concert and cheering the loudest in the audience. Marcus's music was more than just sound. It was an expression of who he was, a means of exploring the world and his place within it. Yet even as Marcus thrived, the questions about his past lingered in the shadows, unanswered but ever present. James knew that the time would come when Marcus would seek the truth about his origins, a truth that James himself had only partially uncovered. For now, he focused on the present, cherishing each moment they shared. He had made a promise to himself on that stormy night so many years ago, a promise to be there, to guide and protect Marcus through whatever challenges life might bring. As the days turned into months and then years, James felt a deep sense of gratitude for the life they had built together. The future was a vast, uncharted landscape, but with Marcus by his side, he faced it with hope and determination. Together, they would navigate the complexities of the world, guided by the bonds of love and the silent echoes of the past. The autumn air was crisp and invigorating, carrying with it the scent of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. The city wore its seasonal colors with pride, the trees lining the streets ablaze with hues of red, orange, and gold. For Marcus, now a young man of 20, the seasons seemed to whisper of change in the inevitable passage of time. The attic was a repository of memories, its wooden beams groaning under the weight of forgotten boxes and dust-covered furniture. It was here, while searching for an old yearbook, that Marcus stumbled upon a small, unmarked box tucked away in a corner, half hidden beneath a pile of old newspapers. Curiosity piqued, Marcus pulled the box into the light, brushing away years of accumulated dust. The lid creaked as he opened it, revealing a collection of seemingly unrelated items. A faded photograph, a handful of notes scrawled on yellowing paper, and a tiny bracelet with the name M engraved on it. His heart skipped a beat as he examined the photograph. A woman he did not recognize, cradling a baby wrapped in a familiar blanket. The woman's eyes held a mix of sadness and hope, and Marcus felt an inexplicable connection to the image. The notes were more cryptic, filled with half-finished thoughts and dates that seemed significant but offered no clear answers. As he sifted through the items, a sense of unease settled over him, a feeling that he was peering into a chapter of his life that had been deliberately obscured. That evening, Marcus approached James, the box clutched tightly in his hands. The living room was dimly lit, the shadows from the fireplace flickering across the walls as James looked up from his book, a welcoming smile on his face. "Dad, I found something in the attic," Marcus began, his voice steady but tinged with uncertainty. He placed the box on the table between them, its contents spilling out like pieces of a forgotten puzzle. James's expression shifted from curiosity to concern as he examined the items. The photograph seemed to weigh heavily in his hands, its presence demanding explanation. "I've never seen this woman before," Marcus said, his gaze searching James's face for answers. "Who is she? And why was this hidden away?" James sighed, the burden of secrets past surfacing with each breath. He had known that this day would come, the day when the truth would no longer be contained by silence and omission. "That woman," James hesitated, choosing his words with care. "I don't know who she is, Marcus. I found you with this photograph the night I brought you home." The admission hung in the air, a silent echo of unanswered questions and hidden truths. Marcus felt a mixture of relief and frustration. The mystery of his origins both clarified and deepened. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Marcus asked, the hurt evident in his voice. "I've always wondered about my past, about where I came from." James leaned forward, his gaze earnest and filled with regret. "I wanted to protect you, to give you a life free from the shadows of the past. I hoped that one day we could find the answers together." Marcus nodded slowly, absorbing the revelation. Despite the confusion and uncertainty, he knew that James's love had been unwavering, a guiding light through the fog of the unknown. Determined to unravel the mystery of his origins, Marcus sought the counsel of Detective Lisa Chung, a close family friend and trusted mentor. Lisa had been a constant presence in their lives, offering guidance and support through life's myriad challenges. They met at a cozy cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the chatter of patrons and the clink of ceramic cups. Lisa listened intently as Marcus recounted his discovery, her keen detective instincts engaged. "This photograph and the notes, they're pieces of a larger puzzle," Lisa mused, her eyes thoughtful. "If you're ready, I can help you look into this, see if we can trace any leads." Marcus nodded, a sense of determination igniting within him. "I need to know who I am, where I came from. It's time to face whatever truths are out there." Lisa placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We'll do this together, Marcus. Whatever we find, you won't be alone." With Lisa's help, Marcus embarked on his quest for answers, the journey taking him through archives, databases, and conversations with those who might hold clues to his past. Each step brought new insights and questions, weaving a complex tapestry of connections and possibilities. The investigation led them to a name, an influential figure in the city whose involvement in a web of secrecy and corruption suggested a connection to Marcus's abandonment. The pieces of the puzzle began to align, forming a picture that was both illuminating and ominous. As Marcus delved deeper, he realized that the truth was more than a personal quest. It was a revelation that could affect not only his life but the lives of those around him. The stakes were higher than he had imagined, and the path ahead was fraught with challenges and unexpected revelations. Yet amidst the uncertainty and danger, Marcus felt a growing sense of purpose and identity. The hidden past was becoming clearer, each discovery strengthening his resolve to uncover the truth and forge his own destiny. In the heart of the city, as the last light of day faded into night, Marcus stood on the threshold of a new chapter. The city had begun to shed its autumn coat, the streets lined with the last of the golden leaves clinging stubbornly to bare branches. The chill in the air was invigorating, a reminder that change was an ever-present force. For Marcus, the city felt like a vast labyrinth, each corner and alley a clue leading him closer to the heart of his mysterious past. The library was a sanctuary of silence, the scent of aged paper and ink mingling with the soft hum of computers. Marcus sat hunched over a stack of documents, his eyes scanning the pages for any hint of connection. Detective Lisa Chang had provided him with access to archives that hinted at layers of intrigue buried beneath the city's surface. "Remember, Marcus," Lisa had advised, her voice steady and encouraging, "the truth often lies hidden between the lines. Look for patterns, names that repeat, connections that might seem insignificant at first." Marcus nodded, her words echoing in his mind as he sifted through the information. He was no stranger to diligence, his musical training having taught him the importance of patience and precision. Now he applied those skills to his search, piecing together the fragments of a story that had been kept from him for too long. Among the documents was a series of financial transactions that hinted at something larger, a network of influential figures whose actions rippled across the city like shadows cast in the fading light. At the center of this web was a name, Richard Calloway, a man whose reputation as a philanthropic businessman masked the darker dealings whispered about in the corridors of power. Marcus's investigation led him to a forgotten part of the city, a neighborhood where the past lingered in the faded murals and time-worn facades. It was here, in the remnants of a once thriving community, that he uncovered a lead that promised to unlock the secrets of his origin. The local community center, a bastion of resilience amidst decay, held records that might reveal connections long buried. Marcus approached the caretaker, an elderly man with kind eyes and a wealth of stories etched into the lines of his face. "Looking for something specific, son?" the caretaker asked, his voice rich with the cadence of experience. "I'm hoping to find records from 20 years ago," Marcus explained, his tone respectful yet eager. "Anything related to a woman named Clara or an infant found at St. Mary's Church?" The caretaker nodded thoughtfully, shuffling through the dusty filing cabinets with practiced hands. "Clara, I remember her. Sweet girl, came around here often. Always talked about wanting a better life for her child." Marcus's heart quickened at the mention of her name. Here was a tangible link to his past, a thread that connected him to the woman in the photograph. As he studied the documents, he discovered that Clara had sought refuge at the community center during a turbulent period, her life intertwined with those who had vanished from the city's memory. The records hinted at a clandestine meeting that Clara had attended, a gathering of voices seeking change in a world resistant to it. The meeting was organized by none other than Richard Calloway, a revelation that sent Marcus's mind racing with possibilities. Back at home, James felt the weight of the past pressing heavily upon him. He watched Marcus from a distance, the young man's determination and resilience, a testament to the strength they had forged together. Yet beneath the pride, there was an undercurrent of fear, a fear that the truth might fracture the bond they had built over the years. James knew that he could no longer shield Marcus from the complexities of the world. He had promised to stand by him, to support him through whatever challenges they might face. And so he resolved to share the knowledge he had kept hidden, trusting that their connection would endure. One evening, as Marcus pored over his findings, James joined him at the table, a quiet resolve in his eyes. "Marcus, there's something you need to know." Marcus looked up, sensing the gravity of his father's words. "What is it, Dad?" James took a deep breath, the memories of that rainy night and the years that followed weaving through his thoughts. "When I found you, I wasn't just acting on instinct. I had received an anonymous tip about a child in danger. I was meant to find you." The revelation hung in the air, a silent admission of the complexities that had shaped their lives. Marcus's gaze was steady, his understanding deepened by the trust they shared. "I didn't know who sent the tip," James continued, "but I believe it was someone who wanted to protect you from whatever was happening around Clara. I've always wanted to find out who, but I didn't want to risk losing you." Marcus absorbed the information, his determination tempered by gratitude. "We'll find the truth together, Dad. I'm not going anywhere." Armed with new insights, Marcus reached out to the people who had known Clara, gathering stories and recollections that painted a picture of a courageous woman caught in a web of ambition and betrayal. He learned of her dreams, her struggles, and the hope she had carried for a brighter future. As he pieced together the fragments of her life, Marcus felt a connection that transcended the years, a bond forged not by blood, but by shared resilience in the pursuit of justice. With Lisa's guidance, Marcus began to unravel the ties that bound Richard Calloway to the events of the past. The investigation revealed a pattern of manipulation and control, a network that reached into the highest echelons of power. The stakes were higher than ever, the path fraught with danger and uncertainty. Yet Marcus felt a growing sense of clarity, a purpose that guided his every step. The truth was within reach, and with it, the promise of redemption and the chance to honor the legacy of the woman who had given him life. As the city lights flickered to life against the encroaching darkness, Marcus stood on the precipice of revelation. The journey had brought him closer to the answers he sought, each discovery a step toward understanding his place in the world. The investigation had illuminated the shadows of the past, revealing the courage of those who had dared to dream and the sacrifices they had made. Marcus knew that the path ahead would demand all his strength and resilience, but he was ready, ready to face the truth, to embrace his identity, and to forge a future defined by hope and justice. With the echoes of the past as his guide, Marcus took a deep breath and stepped forward, prepared to confront whatever lay ahead in the search for truth. The city was a mosaic of lights and shadows as night settled over its bustling streets. Marcus felt the weight of the discoveries he had made pressing heavily upon him. Each new piece of information brought him closer to the truth about his origins, yet the path was fraught with uncertainty and danger. Detective Lisa Chang had arranged a meeting at a discreet location, a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town, away from the prying eyes of those who might seek to thwart their investigation. The air was thick with anticipation as Marcus and Lisa sat at a corner table, their voices low and conspiratorial. "I've been digging deeper into Richard Calloway's past," Lisa said, her gaze steady and focused. "He's more than just a businessman. His influence extends into politics, law enforcement, even some areas we can't fully trace yet." Marcus nodded, the pieces of the puzzle clicking into place in his mind. "And he was involved with Clara's circle, right? But what was his motive?" Lisa paused, considering her words carefully. "Calloway has always been about power and control. Clara and her group were advocating for change, challenging the status quo. She must have posed a threat to his interests." Marcus absorbed this information, a mixture of anger and determination burning in his chest. Clara had fought for a better world, a cause that had ultimately endangered her life and the life of her child. Now he was determined to honor her legacy and uncover the truth about Calloway's role in her fate. As Marcus and Lisa strategized their next move, a shadow fell across their table. They looked up to see a woman with striking features and an air of quiet confidence. Her eyes were sharp, taking in the scene with an intensity that suggested she was no stranger to secrets and deception. "Mind if I join you?" she asked, her voice smooth and composed. Lisa exchanged a glance with Marcus, a silent question passing between them. Marcus nodded, sensing that this encounter was no coincidence. "Who are you?" Marcus inquired, his curiosity piqued. The woman sat down, folding her hands on the table. "My name is Rebecca. I work for an organization that's been keeping an eye on Calloway's activities. We've been looking for a way to expose him, and it seems you might have the key." Rebecca's revelation sent a jolt of surprise through Marcus. An ally in the shadows, someone with resources and information that could prove invaluable in their quest for truth. "What do you know about Clara?" Marcus asked, his voice edged with urgency. Rebecca leaned forward, her expression earnest. "Clara was one of us, a brave soul who believed in justice and equality. She was gathering evidence against Calloway, but she vanished before she could deliver it." Marcus felt a surge of emotion at Rebecca's words. Clara had been fighting for something bigger than herself, something that Marcus was now determined to see through to the end. With Rebecca's help, Marcus and Lisa devised a plan to gather the evidence needed to expose Calloway's criminal network. They knew that the risk was great, but the potential reward, the truth about Marcus's past and the chance to honor Clara's sacrifice, was worth the danger. Rebecca arranged a meeting with an informant who had connections to Calloway's inner circle. The rendezvous was set for the following night in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city, a place where shadows and secrets converged. "Are you sure about this?" Lisa asked Marcus, her concern evident in her eyes. "It could be a trap." Marcus nodded, a steely resolve in his expression. "I need to know the truth, Lisa. I can't turn back now." The night of the meeting arrived, and Marcus found himself standing at the edge of the warehouse district, the cold air biting at his skin. The city's sounds seemed distant, muted by the gravity of the moment. As he approached the warehouse, he spotted Rebecca waiting by the entrance, her silhouette outlined by the faint glow of streetlights. Her presence was a reassuring anchor amidst the uncertainty of the night. "Ready?" Rebecca asked, her voice calm and steady. Marcus took a deep breath, nodding as he steeled himself for what lay ahead. Together they entered the dimly lit building, the echoes of their footsteps mingling with the whispers of the past. Inside the warehouse, the atmosphere was tense, the air thick with anticipation. The informant, a wiry man with a nervous demeanor, stood in the shadows, his eyes darting around as if expecting trouble at any moment. "You've got the information?" Rebecca inquired, her tone direct and authoritative. The informant nodded, his gaze shifting to Marcus. "Yeah, but this isn't going to be easy. Calloway has eyes everywhere. If he finds out what I'm doing," Marcus stepped forward, his determination unwavering. "We'll protect you. Just tell us what you know." The informant hesitated, then reached into his coat pocket, producing a flash drive. "This has everything you need. Financial records, communications, evidence of bribery and coercion. It's enough to bring him down, but you'll have to act fast." As Marcus took the flash drive, a sense of urgency gripped him. The evidence was within reach, but so was the danger that accompanied it. He knew that exposing Calloway would require not only courage, but also a strategic approach to ensure the truth reached the right people. Just as the exchange was completed, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the warehouse, sending a chill down Marcus's spine. He turned to see a group of men emerging from the shadows, their expressions cold and menacing. "Looks like we've got company," Rebecca muttered, her hand moving instinctively to the concealed weapon at her side. Marcus felt a surge of adrenaline as the realization of betrayal sank in. Someone had tipped off Calloway's men, and now they were surrounded. The stakes had escalated, and the situation was more precarious than ever. The leader of the group stepped forward, a smirk playing on his lips. "Thought you could outsmart us, huh? Hand over the drive and we might let you walk out of here." Marcus tightened his grip on the flash drive, his mind racing with possibilities. The evidence was too important to relinquish, too vital to the cause he was fighting for. Rebecca moved closer to Marcus, her voice low and urgent. "We need to get out of here now." With a nod of agreement, Marcus and Rebecca made a break for the nearest exit, their footsteps echoing through the cavernous space as they raced against time. The men pursued them, the threat of capture looming ever closer. The city streets unfolded before them as they burst out of the warehouse, the chill of the night air a sharp contrast to the heat of the chase. Marcus felt the adrenaline coursing through his veins, fueling his determination to escape and protect the evidence at all costs. Rebecca led the way, navigating the maze of alleys and side streets with practiced precision. Her knowledge of the city's hidden pathways was invaluable, allowing them to slip through the shadows and outpace their pursuers. As they reached a safe distance, Marcus felt a mixture of relief and resolve. The encounter had been a close call, but the flash drive remained secure in his possession, a testament to the lengths he was willing to go to uncover the truth and honor Clara's legacy. Rebecca turned to Marcus, her expression a blend of admiration and determination. "We did it, but this is just the beginning. Calloway won't stop until he gets what he wants." Marcus nodded, his resolve unshaken. "Then we'll be ready. We have the truth, and we'll make sure it sees the light of day." Together they stood at the edge of the city, the silent echoes of the past guiding them toward a future defined by justice and hope. The journey was far from over, but with each step, Marcus felt a growing sense of purpose, a purpose that transcended his own story and resonated with the fight for a better world. The city was a tapestry of secrets, its streets weaving tales of ambition and betrayal that Marcus was only beginning to comprehend. As the dawn light painted the horizon in shades of gold, he stood on the precipice of revelation, determined to bring Richard Calloway's empire crashing down. Back at Lisa's apartment, Marcus and Rebecca gathered around a table strewn with documents and electronic equipment. Detective Chang had joined them, her presence a comforting anchor amidst the storm of events. "We need to ensure this evidence reaches the right people," Lisa said, her voice steady yet urgent. "Calloway has influence in high places, and we can't risk this getting buried." Rebecca nodded, her fingers tapping on the keyboard as she encrypted the data on the flash drive. "I have contacts in the media who can help. If we release this strategically, we can create a public outcry that even Calloway can't ignore." Marcus listened intently, his mind racing with the possibilities. The evidence was damning. Transactions that revealed Calloway's illegal dealings, emails that exposed his web of corruption, and testimonies from those silenced by fear. The challenge lay in orchestrating its release without tipping off Calloway's network. As they planned, Marcus felt a sense of camaraderie with Lisa and Rebecca, a shared mission that transcended personal history. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with, united by a commitment to justice and the truth. The plan was set in motion as Marcus, Lisa, and Rebecca prepared for a live broadcast that would unveil Calloway's crimes to the world. The chosen location was a rooftop with a panoramic view of the city, the skyline a symbol of the future they sought to protect. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the city in a warm, golden glow, Marcus felt a surge of anticipation. The broadcast would reach thousands, the truth spreading like wildfire through the digital realm. Rebecca adjusted the camera, her expression a blend of focus and determination. "We're living 5, 4, 3. Marcus took a deep breath, stepping into the frame as the countdown ended. His heart pounded in his chest, but his voice was steady as he spoke directly to the camera. "My name is Marcus Evans, and I stand here today to expose the truth about Richard Calloway. For too long, he has operated in the shadows, exploiting the vulnerable and silencing those who dared to stand against him. But no more. He held up the flash drive, the small device, a beacon of justice. This contains the evidence of his crimes, financial records, emails, and testimonies from those who have suffered under his regime. We cannot allow this to continue. As Marcus spoke, Rebecca streamed the broadcast to every corner of the internet, their message amplified by the power of social media. The response was immediate, a wave of support and outrage sweeping across the digital landscape. In the hours that followed, Marcus watched as the broadcast went viral, the story capturing the attention of news outlets and citizens alike. The city buzzed with activity, the air electric with the promise of change. Messages poured in from those who had witnessed Calloway's corruption firsthand, their voices finally finding a platform. Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that Clara's legacy was finally coming to light. Yet amidst the triumph, there was a lingering sense of vulnerability. Calloway's reach was vast, and the danger of retaliation loomed ever closer. As Marcus and his allies regrouped, Lisa's phone buzzed with an incoming call. She answered, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern as she listened. "What's wrong?" Marcus asked, his heart sinking at the gravity of Lisa's expression. Lisa hung up, her eyes meeting Marcus's with a mixture of determination and urgency. "That was my contact at the precinct. Calloway's making moves. We need to be ready for whatever he throws at us." As night descended, Marcus, Lisa, and Rebecca fortified their position, preparing for the inevitable confrontation with Calloway's forces. They secured the evidence, ensuring that multiple copies were distributed to trusted allies in case of attack. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility pressing down upon him, the knowledge that their actions could determine the city's future, both exhilarating and daunting. He drew strength from his allies, their shared commitment to justice, a source of unwavering resolve. "Whatever happens," Marcus said, his voice steady, "we're in this together. We've come too far to back down now." Rebecca nodded, her expression fierce and unwavering. "Calloway may have power, but he doesn't have the truth on his side. We'll stand our ground and make sure the world knows what he's done." The night stretched on, the city a tapestry of shadows and secrets waiting to be unraveled. Marcus felt a sense of anticipation, the echoes of the past guiding him toward a future defined by courage and conviction. As the clock ticked toward midnight, the quiet tension was shattered by the sound of approaching footsteps. Marcus's heart raced as he peered through the darkness, his eyes narrowing as figures emerged from the shadows. Calloway's men had arrived, their presence a testament to the lengths the businessman would go to protect his empire. Marcus exchanged a glance with Lisa and Rebecca, their silent communication honed by shared purpose. The confrontation was swift and decisive, Marcus and his allies using their strategic advantage to hold off the attackers. As the skirmish unfolded, Marcus felt a surge of adrenaline, his resolve unyielding in the face of danger. With each step, each calculated move, Marcus felt Clara's spirit guiding him, her courage and resilience an unyielding force within him. The battle was far from over, but Marcus knew that he was ready to face whatever lay ahead and honor the legacy of the woman who had given him life. The city awoke to a new dawn, the air charged with the promise of transformation. Marcus stood at the heart of a movement that had taken on a life of its own, a force for change that could not be silenced. The city, still reeling from the revelations of the previous days, began to quiet as the midnight hour approached. The illuminated skyscrapers cast long, foreboding shadows over the streets below, a stark contrast to the sense of resolve that enveloped Marcus. His confrontation with Richard Calloway was imminent, and the weight of the impending reckoning was palpable. Marcus stood on the rooftop of a nondescript building, his gaze sweeping over the cityscape. The cold wind tugged at his coat, a constant reminder of the tension that crackled in the air. The meeting was set, and everything hinged on this pivotal moment. His heart raced, not just with anticipation, but with the solemn gravity of what was at stake. Lisa Chang, her usually composed demeanor now tinged with a rare hint of apprehension, approached. "We're almost ready. The media has set up the live feed, and our allies are in place." Marcus nodded, trying to channel his nervous energy into focus. "I know this isn't just about me anymore. It's about everyone who's been hurt by Calloway's empire. This is our chance to make it right." Lisa placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We've done everything we can to prepare. Now it's about delivering the truth. Let the evidence speak for itself." Rebecca, her eyes sharp and her movements precise, adjusted the camera equipment. "The broadcast is about to start. Remember, Marcus, this is the moment where everything changes." As the countdown began, Marcus took a deep breath, steeling himself for the final act of their mission. The weight of the evidence, the promise of justice, and the specter of Calloway loomed large, but Marcus was ready. The dimly lit warehouse where the final confrontation was to take place was eerily silent, its vast expanse echoing with the faint sounds of footsteps and distant traffic. Marcus, Lisa, and Rebecca made their way to the center of the room, the tension so thick it seemed to distort the air around them. Suddenly, the heavy metal door creaked open, and Richard Calloway stepped into the light, flanked by his loyal enforcers. His presence was commanding, a blend of arrogance and menace that had become his trademark. His eyes, cold and calculating, locked onto Marcus with an intensity that spoke of deep-seated enmity. "So this is where you've chosen to make your stand," Calloway said, his voice smooth and dripping with disdain. "I must admit, I'm impressed by your audacity, but you're out of your depth, Marcus." Marcus met Calloway's gaze with unwavering resolve. "It's not just about me. It's about everyone you've wronged. The truth is coming out tonight, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." Calloway's lips curled into a smile, but there was no warmth in it. "You think you can take me down with a few documents and a live broadcast? I've weathered storms far worse than this." As Calloway's men moved to flank them, Lisa and Rebecca took strategic positions, their nerves steeled for the confrontation. The media team, hidden in a secure location, prepared to broadcast the unfolding drama to the world. The air was electric with anticipation, the world outside poised on the brink of a seismic shift. Marcus's voice rang out, strong and resolute. "It's time for the world to see who you really are, Calloway. The evidence is irrefutable, and it's about to be broadcasted for everyone to see." Calloway's expression shifted from confidence to irritation. "You're making a grave mistake, Marcus. The people you've allied with, do you really think they have your best interests at heart?" Marcus's eyes narrowed. "I don't need their loyalty. I need justice, and that's what we're fighting for." Rebecca signaled to the media team, and the broadcast began. The screens around the warehouse flickered to life, showing the damning evidence. Financial records, incriminating emails, and testimonies from those silenced by fear. The evidence was presented with a clarity that left no room for doubt, each piece meticulously laid out to reveal the extent of Calloway's corruption. As the broadcast continued, the warehouse became a battleground of conflicting forces. Calloway's men, realizing the gravity of the situation, attempted to disrupt the broadcast and intimidate Marcus and his allies. But Lisa and Rebecca stood firm, their presence a testament to their commitment to justice. The tension reached a crescendo as police sirens wailed in the distance, their approach signaling the imminent end of Calloway's reign. Marcus's heart pounded as he watched the evidence unfold on the screens, the culmination of their efforts laying bare the truth for all to see. Calloway's demeanor shifted from confidence to desperation. "You think you can topple an empire with a single broadcast? You're a fool if you believe that." Marcus's voice was steady, unwavering. "An empire built on lies and deceit is bound to crumble when the truth comes to light. Your time is up, Calloway." The arrival of the police marked the beginning of the end for Calloway's empire. Officers stormed the warehouse, their presence a force of law and order that could not be ignored. Calloway and his men were swiftly apprehended, their arrogance giving way to the harsh reality of their situation. As Calloway was led away in handcuffs, Marcus felt a profound sense of relief. The man who had wielded power with impunity was finally facing justice, his empire reduced to rubble by the very truth he had sought to suppress. Rebecca approached Marcus, her expression a mix of triumph and exhaustion. "It's over. The evidence has been exposed, and Calloway's influence is broken." Marcus nodded, his heart heavy with a mixture of relief and sorrow. "It's a victory, but it comes with a price. Clara's sacrifice was not in vain. Her fight for justice has finally borne fruit." Lisa joined them, her eyes reflecting the gravity of their accomplishment. "We've done what we set out to do. The city will heal, and the truth will continue to resonate." As dawn broke over the city, the first rays of light symbolized a new beginning. The streets, once shrouded in corruption and fear, now held the promise of renewal and change. Marcus stood at the edge of the city, the weight of the past giving way to a hopeful future. In the days that followed, the impact of their actions became evident. The media coverage of Calloway's downfall sparked widespread outrage and calls for reform. The city's institutions began to address the systemic issues that had allowed corruption to flourish. Marcus, now a symbol of resilience and justice, found solace in the knowledge that his journey had made a difference. His quest for truth had uncovered the darkness that had lurked in the city's heart, and his efforts had paved the way for a brighter future. As he looked out over the city, Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The echoes of the past had guided him to a place where justice had prevailed, and the legacy of those who had fought for a better world would endure. With Clara's memory as a guiding light, Marcus embraced the promise of a new beginning, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with unwavering determination and a heart full of purpose.